Joining us here, folks, is Mr. Zimmer Barnes, and thank you for joining us. And you are actually the son of Miss Attorney Carolyn Barnes.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and we're going to play this KXAN clip here in just a minute. First off, what do you contend is going on with your mother?
Well, the trial that she's had so far isn't sufficient for the treatment that she's received, especially with the evidence against her. She's accused at shooting at a census worker, but all of the evidence that backs up my mom's side of the story, not the census worker, isn't being shown in this court. And now, even though she was arrested on some really trivial charge, they had her wearing a GPS ankle monitor. She's not a flight risk. She's been in the same county for 20 years. Clearly, like my brother was a teenager. He's only 17 now, so he would have been 15 or 16 at the time. It's pointless for her to have, she's not a flight risk if she's raising a teenager who's going to school there. And so anyway, she refused to wear this ankle monitor, and she was put in jail. She was classified as a level 1 inmate at this jail, to where she's in solitary confinement. That's the second worst thing that you can do to someone in the United States. You can give the death penalty.
I heard
that's
shackled
the worst.
too.
Yeah, she was shackled in solitary confinement. Anywhere she went, she had to be in a wheelchair, shackled to the wheelchair. Her wrists were shackled, and her ankles
she's
were
a
shackled.
medical malpractice attorney, right?
That's right.
Now, your mother, she's been arrested, according to one of the news reports, she's been arrested by Williamson County like 8 times, right?
Yeah, the first time she was arrested was when I was 9 years old. She's been arrested every
See,
year.
I understand. I know how these people are. They may have terrorized her right at that very first meeting with her.
Well, I think maybe certainly the first time they arrested her, they didn't know that she was an attorney. They didn't know that she would be able to dispute any kind of trumped-up charges that they put against her. And so she's continued to fight their allegations, and she's continued to represent people that they don't like. And so I think she's definitely made herself a target living there.
Yeah. Well, what one thing I know they like to do over there is once they get you in the system, you know, they get on for example, if you get caught, Williamson County is probably the #1 hardcore drug warrior in Texas. I mean, you get caught with a bag of pot in Williamson County, you're looking at jail time, years of probation where you got to pay a couple $100 every month, fines, thousands of dollars a fine. And they're real big on that. So one thing they like to do is once they get somebody in probation, 18-month probation or whatever, maybe the 16th month into the probation, they'll come up with something. You didn't make this community service class, or you didn't do this right, and then you're right back in another 18 months. They want to keep you in the system. So that kind of, I'm thinking that could have been what could have happened to your mother.
Well, I think that's what they try to do, but the fact is that she's an attorney. She's able, when they do a trumped-up charge, she's able to fight it personally. So she had never been convicted of anything before this.
What sort of things was she arrested for?
She was arrested for all kinds of stuff. The original one, we went camping and we had busted the trunk because we locked the keys in the trunk. I was 9 years old at the time, and they arrested her because they thought that the car was stolen.
Yeah.
And of course, it's always like they throw in a resisting arrest. She's been arrested. There was one time, the best one was she was arrested in a courthouse for assault on an officer when the video, because it's a courthouse, the video of the lobby showed that he hit her, but she was arrested for assault on the officer, not him being arrested. And then in this one, she is arrested at shooting at a census worker when she has alibi and 2 witnesses of being an hour and a half away. And so it's trumped up charge after trumped up charge.
You're saying that's not even true?
No,
she didn't shoot it at census workers?
She's never seen this woman in her life. They've never met.
Well, if that's true, the local news here sure got it wrong.
No, they always do.
Yeah, generally speaking. So you're saying she never even shot at census workers?
No. Well, she's an attorney. She was representing 2 clients. So she was in court with those clients, and then afterwards went to talk about their case at a restaurant. So they were meeting with her when this census worker says that she was at my mom's house. It's an hour and a half drive. There's no way if you accept both of these things as true, if everyone's telling the truth, then she made an hour and a half drive in 10 minutes.
Well, now, one of the news reports I saw about it, she had drafted some kind of a letter of some sort stating that she basically called the Williamson County law enforcement criminal street gang.
Yeah,
And she
that was
said-
years ago, yeah.
She said that they were involved in a conspiracy and to try to retaliate against her. That's exactly what they do over there.
I know, I think conspiracy is a really strong word, especially in America, but I think when you have that kind of history of you've got 10 charges against you over a decade and you haven't been convicted of any of them, and now you're being held in solitary confinement for a crime you didn't commit. I don't know what other word you would use but conspiracy.
Go ahead, Gary.
Well, Zimmer, tell us the two versions of what happened on May 8th, 2010, the census workers version and your mother's version.
Well, like I said, my mother's version is that she was with her clients and they both filed affidavits stating that that's the case. They saw her. She was there until almost 4.
Go ahead.
And she was meeting with them, and then when she got home, within 15 minutes of her getting home, her home was surrounded by police officers with guns drawn, and she was arrested. The census worker originally stated that she walked over 1.5 miles into a gated community and was trespassing at 33 Indian Trail, which is not my mother's address, and that while trespassing there, someone shot at her. And she later identified my mom, Carolyn Barnes, as the person that shot at her. Then she later changed her story to say that she was at my mom's house in the same neighborhood at her address instead of 33 Indian Trail. So the census worker has 2 or more stories.
Okay. When the raid happened, or she was arrested by the SWAT team, what happened then?
A lot of stuff happened. The house was completely searched. The police weren't able to find, in addition to no gun, which is huge. There's no, she's accused of shooting at someone, but no gun, no ammunition, no gunpowder residue on her or the census worker, on anybody, and also Kathleen Gattell says that she was shot at, not shot. She didn't have any bullet holes on her. But bullets don't just go away. They leave casings and they leave bullet holes. It's a heavily wooded area in an extremely rural neighborhood. So no bullet holes of any kind. So there's no evidence that there was a gun or that any gun was fired ever.
Now, I interviewed you on my radio show, and I didn't ask you this question, so I want to ask you this question now. This is the county is accusing your mother, right?
Right, Williamson County.
Why isn't this a federal case?
It is, and it isn't, because Kathleen Gattell has been sued in a different matter over this, and the feds say it's a federal court, you can't sue her. But the local county says that it's their jurisdiction. But you're right, if she is a federal worker, it should be a federal charge. Well,
that seems kind of odd to me. If it were a federal case, you'd think that the Census Bureau and the Department of Justice was saying, we've got to make an example of this woman and your mother, and they're not, so...
Well, if they did make it a federal case, they would have to subpoena the Census Bureau, and they would have to pull up, oh, Carolyn Barnes already filed her census form. There was no reason for a census worker to even be out at her house. What was she doing? You'd also have to show the 911 call that, not Kathleen Gattell, but her boss made. Her boss made the 911 call and clearly states 33 Indian Trail, not my mother's address.
I'll say, so you just said something that is very important. You said your mother had already filled out her census form. Mm-hmm. Because I, frankly, as assumed, and maybe I shouldn't have, she's somebody who's protesting the census. She said hadn't filled out her form, and they went out here, and so she actually...
They're not even going after the people that are protesting the form. Right. Kathleen Gattell was going out to 33 Indian Trail, which is maybe is someone there that didn't fill out their census form. And then... either first said that someone shot at her there on that property, and now she's changed her story that she was at my mother's house, which is almost a mile away across a river, a low water crossing that Kathleen Gattell would have had to take her shoes off
a mile
to
away.
Cross. Yeah.
When the census worker says that she went to your mother's home, why was she going? Do you know?
Her story is that she was going on official census business. But she originally stated that she was going to 33 Indian Trail. After this woman allegedly ran her off her property or fired shots at her, fired shots in the air, one of those three, she meets her boss at a restaurant an hour later and says, I was out working and someone shot at me. And her boss says, well, that's really serious. We need to make a police report for this. And so he is the one that calls the police an hour after the incident and says that Kathleen Gattell was shot at by some woman at 33 Indian Trail.
Your your mother is now arrested on May 8th. What happens then?
Like I said, they searched the house. They couldn't find any evidence to back up Kathleen Gattell's story, and it was one thing after another. When my mom originally posted bail when she got out, they had taken our safe. And so when they released the safe, and they finally cracked it and they couldn't find anything in it, they made her go pick it up. So she goes picks up the safe and takes it back home, and it's been damaged. And when she looks over her insurance policy, she calls the people that had insured her safe, and they said, well, if it was damaged being broken into, we need a police report to give you insurance on your safe. And so she calls Williamson County and says, hey, you guys took my safe. When you searched it, when you opened it, you damaged it, and I just need a police report for this so I can get insurance. They arrested her again for filing a false police report and said that she was reoffending while she was out on bail and that she needs to be thrown in jail again. That's when she got this ankle monitor, which she'd been wearing for several months. When I went home for Christmas, she was wearing this gigantic GPS monitor. And they imposed a curfew on her. It's just ridiculous. Like, you impose a curfew on someone that is committing a crime that needs to be out. Like, if you're a prostitute, if you're a drug dealer, then you impose a curfew. But on someone... so anyway, so she's wearing this monitor, and the next time she goes into...
Before you get to that, I want to ask you a question. You mentioned about the 911 call. You actually had told me this. On the 911 call, someone from Williamson County is heard saying something about your mother. What was that?
Right, a deputy. During the 911 call, this deputy chimes in and says, oh, Indian Trail, that's where Carolyn Barnes lives. That explains it.
So he kind of introduces the idea that that's her.
Right, they go out and arrest her, and then later that evening, very late that evening, is when they finally put photos in front of Kathleen Gattell, and she picks my mom out of the lineup.
But originally, Kathleen Gattell is giving a different address that's a mile away.
Correct.
Okay.
So do you agree? Do you think it is some kind of conspiracy against your mother, or what do you think?
I don't think this was pre-planned or anything. I think, someone may have shot at Kathleen Gattell, and when they found out that there was some kind of violent incident in that neighborhood, then this guy thought, oh, Carolyn Barnes, that explains it. And I think it's one thing to say, here's someone that's caused problems before, and now there's a problem in her neighborhood. Let's see if, let's make her a suspect and investigate. But once you don't find any physical evidence, and once the person has an alibi and 2 witnesses, I think that's time to drop the charges and not proceed with charging someone.
I think I was on video saying I didn't think his mother did that. Remember, I said I think this whole thing's been made up.
Oh,
I didn't think that was true at all when I saw that piece that night. I saw it live on KXAN, right. And I did not think that was real at all. I thought they made it up, and sure enough, it did.
As bad as all this is, it gets worse because your mother is wearing this ankle bracelet, and then she ends up in prison. In other words, instead of having her trial and being out on bail, she posted bond, an enormous amount of money, I think.
Well, she posted bond numerous times because she posted a bond for being accused of shooting Kathleen Gattell, and then she had to post bond again because she was reoffending because she filed a false police report. So she's posted bond twice.
So, but she has posted bond, so she should be out, maybe wearing this ankle bracelet. And But how did she get back in?
At this, I wasn't there. I was in New York at the time. But from what I've been told by her and the 3 witnesses there, they all say that this judge said, do you want to wear the ankle monitor? And she says, no, of course I don't want to wear the ankle monitor, but I will if you make me. And he took that as she was refusing to wear the ankle monitor, and he revoked her bail and put her in jail.
KXAN, they're the local Austin, Texas NBC affiliate. So here we go. This was, about a year ago? Something
1 year ago.
We covered it. We talked about it on the show back then. So here we go.
Williamson County arrested for shooting at a census worker, and tonight we're learning a lot more about her previous run-ins with law enforcement.
53-year-old Carolyn Barnes turned herself in yesterday. The medical malpractice attorney is accused of firing a gun from the front door of her Leander home. It's off Highway 183. It happened Saturday. KXAN's Aaron Cargile is live near her home tonight with our top story. Aaron.
Well, Barnes graduated from the UT Law School and says she's been practicing in Texas more than 25 years. She lives in this gated community behind me, and before Saturday had already made it clear to Williamson County court officials she didn't want visitors at her home. A U.S. Census worker from Liberty Hill drove beyond this locked gate in Leander Saturday to drop by Carolyn Barnes' home. After properly identifying herself, the worker says Barnes pointed a handgun at her and started firing.
Ms. Barnes asked her to leave. The census worker was doing so and apparently could not leave fast enough and was shooting at her approximately 5 times. None of the bullets hit the census worker, who was able to recognize the attorney in a photo lineup. When I heard about it and I heard about what her occupation was, yes, it really surprised me that she would act the way that she's allegedly act. But the criminal courts chief at the Williamson County Attorney's Office is not surprised over the allegations.
She is getting more aggressive in the courtroom. She is ignoring orders of the sitting judges to sit down, to let them finish talking, to behave. She becomes physically aggressive in her posture.
And that's just the beginning. Back in 1997, Barnes had to be forcibly removed from her car during a traffic stop. This thick file is another case from 2002 when she was arrested and later found guilty by a jury for not complying during a traffic stop.
She kept digging around under her seat, which the officer asked her not to do. She kept ooching her truck forward, which the officer asked her not to do. They had to spike her tires.
And eventually broke the car window to get her out. We're told Barnes typed up this document a friend emailed to KXAN Tuesday. The 4 pages are titled like an affidavit and call for the arrest of Williamson County prosecutors, sheriff's deputies, and Round Rock police officers. She calls the group a criminal street gang and says she's the victim of a conspiracy and retaliation.
We learned a long time ago this is not humorous. This is not funny. This is a disturbed individual that has, for some reason, found it in her mind to see us as the enemy.
And the county refuses to back down just because Barnes is difficult and tying up resources. Now, another case has been added to her file that she will likely defend in court. Now, Barnes has been booked into the Williamson County Jail a total of 8 times. On top of that, in January, she was arrested at the Travis County Courthouse. She's accused of hitting a deputy after she refused to give up a knife. Today, Travis County filed a motion to revoke her $50,000 bond to keep her in jail. Live in Leander, Aaron Cargile, KXA.
So what do you think? That's just really just a bunch of bullshit, or what?
Well, I mean, she had facts in there. Kathleen Goodell did pick her out of a lineup. That's the front gate to the community. But as you can see, it's a really rural place. A lot of the newsprint had made it out to be that Kathleen Goodell was just going door to door like an Avon salesman, and that in the middle of this suburb someone started shooting at her. But that's not the case. Both 33 Indian Trail and my mother's address, 419 Indian Trail, are both in an extremely rural community. This is a 68-year-old woman who says that she walked 1.5 miles to get to one address, then change it to another address, and there's no witnesses to back up her statement, and there's no physical evidence to back up her statement. So I think that should be mentioned in the news report and not just repeating the official line.
Yeah. Right. And that was the official line. Did you recognize any of those 2 people, the John Foster or Dee Hobbs?
No, and I moved out when I was 18, so I haven't lived there in 5 years, so right. I don't.
I noticed that the whole thing. It was that they didn't really talk about anything serious she did. To me, the most amazing thing in the report was that she was put on trial for ooching her car forward. I didn't know it was a crime, and that they said they had to spike her car. I didn't know they had to do that. But one of the interesting things at the end I want you to respond to is they said that she was arrested for carrying a knife. What was that all about?
That was what I mentioned earlier, where she was arrested for assaulting an officer. And I feel guilty because this is my knife. I came down for Christmas break. I was going through the airport, and I was like, oh crap, I have it's not even a knife, it's a multi-tool, like a
what
like
is
a Leatherman. It's a Leatherman, like it has pliers and screwdrivers and everything in it. But
it's one of those things.
Yeah, and I had it on me. I was like, oh,
a Swiss Army
and she's
knife
like, just
thing.
put it in my purse. Just go to New York. I'll mail it to you. And so she still had it in her purse when she went into court, and they're like, you can't take this in. And she's like, fine, can I just leave it here? And they said, well, if you leave it here, someone could walk off with it. And she's like, fine. And so they're saying to go take it back out to her car because they won't just keep it there until she comes back. And so on her way out, she is on the phone with someone, and I forget the charge she was arrested for there, but that was the arrest.
Well,
Okay.
I agree with her about it being Williamson County prosecutors being a criminal street gang. I'll just come right out and say it.
Well, like you said, I think they're focusing on what is making the money. And I've had this the same problem in New York. If you ever want to read something absolutely frightening, in the Village Voice they did a series of articles called the NYPD tapes, where this police officer, part of the NYPD, wears a voice recorder on his uniform for a year and records all kinds of things, all of his roll calls, all of his superior orders, gets evidence of racial profiling, quotas, every possible thing that you would not want a police force doing. He found evidence of it, and they did
in Williamson County.
No, this is in New York. This is on NYPD. But anyways, they're doing the same thing every police station is doing. None of these local governments have any money, and so they have to focus on something that generates revenue. What generates revenue? Rapists? No, it's people that need
money,
need people parking tickets, all the little writing tickets, people getting citations,
pot possession.
Yeah,
they're big on the food.
Yeah. Just getting people into the system and
getting
them fine after fine after fine. That's what makes money, and so that's what they're being ordered to do. At least in New York, they found evidence that's what they were being ordered to do by their superiors. I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing was happening here.
I think I told you outside. I think your mother's probably in a certain amount of danger. Shows like this are going to help.
That report was very biased. That was basically, as you say, the official line and being spun, and that's I think part of the problem here is that even when the press coverage continues, it's being spun.
Well, do you notice that there's no news where they interview either Kathleen Gattell or my mom? They don't interview anybody that was there. They interview John Foster and Dee Hobbs, whoever they are, and gets their opinion.
Yeah, the Williamson County spokesman.
What do they have to do with this story? Nothing. So right. they don't go to the source. They don't do any kind of investigation.
Yeah, that's right. That's perfect. I've been saying that for years and years down here.
Yeah.
They go to.
Tried for months to get your mother on. Remember?
Yeah, we did.
5 minutes, really.
Well, Zimmer, I think you should actually pick up and tell the rest of the story, because the end of the story, where she is right now, is even more alarming than what you've told us so far. So she's wearing this ankle bracelet, and she goes to court, and the judge does this kind of word game. Do you want to wear this? And she says no. Oh, you're refusing. And now she's put in the Williamson County Jail, and she's shackled, and
so they classified her as a level 1 detainee, and what that means is this is for someone that has done something terrible while in prison. If you assault someone, if you sneak a knife in and stab someone, then you should probably be in solitary confinement where you can't hurt anybody. Not having done any of this, she's put into level 1 when she gets there. She was never in general population when she was arrested for this. So what level 1 means is that she's in a cell for 24 hours a day. The lights never turn off. The lights are always on. And she's shackled in her cell, or if she goes anywhere. When she was going in, when I was able to visit her, visitation rights were eventually taken away. She was wheeled in a wheelchair, shackled to a wheelchair. This is someone that has never done anything in the jail. She was treated like this from the moment she arrives to the jail. And the weirdest, most horrifying part of this is that she's being watched. They pay other inmates to watch her while she's in her one cell. That includes when she's going to the bathroom and when she's taking a shower.
What's the reason for that?
They said that she's a level 1 detainee, which means that, like I said, this is treatment for when someone is extremely violent.
There's a stated reason and there's a real reason, I'm
right.
sure. So now she's supposed to have her trial. Her trial was supposed to be on June 13th.
Right.
So that's a week from today, right? When's her trial?
So while she was there, all this time she originally had an attorney, and I don't know the circumstances, but that attorney isn't her attorney anymore. And so she was given a court-appointed attorney, and she doesn't like this guy at all. This is a guy who he's never tried a criminal case in Texas.
Is that your mother there?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen this video.
Ah, okay. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. I was wondering what we were playing, but go ahead.
Right. So, anyways, this guy has never tried a case in Texas. He hasn't tried a case in 20 years. He's an attorney from Florida. He's retired. But he was appointed to be Carolyn's attorney, and she said, this guy is totally inadequate to represent me, and this is an extremely serious felony charge. This guy hasn't even tried a misdemeanor. I want another attorney. And the judge, Doug Schaefer, said, you can't have another attorney. You either have this one or you hire another one. And so that was the reason why I came down from New York, was to try to raise money for another attorney. Meanwhile, Alan Schreiber tells the judge, Carolyn Barnes was given psychiatric evaluations a year ago and was found to be completely 100% mentally healthy, mentally competent to stand trial. I want to give her another test because she's just getting worse and worse. It's like, well, she's been in solitary confinement for 3 months. I wouldn't be a bright ray of sunshine either. So anyways, he gives her this psychiatric evaluation without telling her it's a psychiatric evaluation. And this evaluator says that she's mentally incompetent. That's their professional opinion. Now, for her to be declared mentally incompetent to stand trial, that decision needs to be made by a jury. You need to present both sides of the evidence and say, is she mentally competent? Maybe she is, maybe she isn't. And the jury would make that decision. Yes, she's mentally competent to stand trial, or no, she isn't. Instead, what happened is that the judge declared her mentally incompetent in a bench trial. No jury. And she was sent to a mental institution.
And that's where she's at right now.
Yeah.
No, not shackles or nothing like that.
I've only gotten to speak with her once. But from what I know, no, she's not shackled currently, which is definitely good news.
This judge declares your mother mentally incompetent. First of all, what does that mean?
So this mentally incompetent, this is for someone either, if someone is mentally disabled, that they have a very low IQ, they're mentally retarded, that's one thing. If you're not able to take care of yourself and you commit some crime, you don't understand what's going on and you should be found mentally incompetent. You're not fit to represent yourself or to cooperate and be tried. Another thing is if you've totally lost it, if you think you're God or you think you're the president and you could walk on water, or if you're just having absolute delusions, clearly you're not going to be able to understand the charges against you.
This is what has happened to Jared Lee Loughner, who allegedly shot Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords and killed that federal judge.
But see, that was a jury.
In Tucson.
That decision went to a jury, and a jury declared him mentally incompetent.
So your mother, during this, you were there when this judge did this thing, right?
Yeah, I did.
How long did that take?
This is a really, really brief trial. Again, this is a decision. It's a very serious decision. It's saying that you don't get to participate in American justice because you're mentally incompetent. This is a very, very serious decision, and in Texas law, that decision absolutely 100% has to go to a jury trial, and it didn't. And on top of that, this bench trial lasted maybe 15 minutes. And I've read the paperwork on the mental competency, and there's nothing in there about delusions of grandeur. There's nothing in there about mental retardation. This is a woman that she's been a lawyer for 20 years. She's clearly understands more than any of us.
UT grad, right?
When she was in the courtroom, she's there when the judge is rendering this decision that she's mentally incompetent. Is she? I mean, is part of mental incompetence that she's not able to understand the case and not able to participate in her own defense? Was she able to participate in her own defense? Did she understand the case?
Well, I think she made a very good argument that she was better to represent herself than her court-appointed attorney, who had never tried a case in Texas, any case, not even a misdemeanor case, 0 cases. So I think, especially considering that, I mean, she was far more competent to defend herself than her attorney was.
So you're basically saying then that your mother is just basically just being she's incarcerated for no reason. I mean, just because they want to. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean
at
first she was they were trying to keep her in jail for as long as possible before a trial, and then right when we're about to have a trial, she's declared mentally incompetent, so she will never get a trial. And all of this is happening without being convicted of anything.
Yeah.
So where is she right now?
She's at the North Texas Mental Facility, as I think of the name of it. It's in Vernon, Texas.
And what is happening to her?
I haven't spoken with her in several days, but she's there. And again, you go there if you're literally if you're mentally incompetent and criminally insane. It's a maximum security facility. So you go there when you're an axe murderer. And so I think it's going to be interesting. I would love to hear these conversations where they're saying, oh, we've got a new one. She must be an axe murderer or terrorist or someone just totally out to lunch. And then talking with her, it's like, oh, you're an attorney. You have 2 kids. You don't think you're not having any delusions of grandeur. You know exactly who you are. You're very intelligent. Why are you here? Right.
Now, hopefully they will feel that way. But it seems to me that Williamson County wants her to get some treatment. So what kind of treatment can she get? Can they force her to take drugs and so forth?
I'm not a psychologist, but from everyone I've talked to, yes. If whoever is making the decisions there decides that she needs to have some kind of drug treatment, then yes, they can force her to take drugs.
Wow.
Okay, Ms. Barnes, take care of formality right. You have the right to remain silent, not make any statement at all. Any statement you make may be used against you at your trial. Any statement you make may be used against you as evidence in court. You have the right to have a lawyer present to advise you prior to and during any questioning. If you're unable to employ a lawyer, you have the right to have a lawyer appointed to advise you prior to and during any questioning. You have the right to terminate this interview at any time. Do you understand that? Okay. The reason I wanted to talk to you is get your side of the story, because I couldn't talk to you before now.
Yeah, but I just want to know what happened. I want to know what is all this about.
Okay. May 8th at your residence. Do you want to tell me about that?
When all those cops came and surrounded my house and pointed guns at me, yeah, I remember that very well.
Okay. Do you want to tell me about what you were doing before that, or what was going on that night, or why they would come out there?
Dale Rye.
But what about Dale Rye?
That was all Dale Rye. He had been out to my property on Monday with a shotgun and some other guy with a gun. And we were trying that case all week, so we just finished up Friday and this happened on Saturday. So I know Dale Rye is involved, but I don't know in what way.
Dale Rye came out to your place with a shotgun?
On Monday, yeah, right before the trial started.
Okay. And who was he with?
Some Hispanic-looking guy with a gun.
Okay. And you know Dale Rye? Or?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you know him by sight? You didn't
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And what happened out there?
When?
When Dale Rye came to your place on Monday?
I don't know. My son was the one that Dale.
Okay, so you weren't there?
No.
Okay.
No. He clearly was trespassing. He knew he wasn't supposed to be on my property. So I was at his office trying to pick up some stuff that he wasn't giving me in the case we were going to trial on.
Okay.
And he slipped out the back door with his, I guess, one of his investigators or something, and went to my house and confronted my son.
Do you know what time it was?
He was a minor. He had no business intimidating my son. My son had nothing to do with the case.
Do you know why? I mean, what time that was that you was up?
Well, we'd have been after school because my son was there.
So 4, 5, 6, 7?
No. It was before 5, so probably between 4:30 and 5. I know I had come over to his office to pick up the stuff, and he was there, but then he must have gone out the back door with it so that he could go over and
So does your son know Dale Rye?
No.
Okay, so how do you know Dale Rye was at your place?
Because he finally admitted it in court. He
Dale
finally
Rye
admitted it, and
that
that's why I said I did not ever want you on my property again. You do not have my consent to be on my property.
Okay.
It's clearly marked private property, no trespassing. He abused his position with the county attorney's office to get the access code. That is very illegal to do that. And I filed a complaint on Monday with the district attorney and the Texas Rangers, the Attorney General, everybody, FBI. I filed a complaint everywhere because that was very improper.
Okay.
And then for him to send out those Wilco people to intimidate me and point guns at me and stare in my house like that was totally uncalled for.
Well, what happened before the law enforcement got there Saturday night?
Just...
Anybody pay you a visit or anybody come by to see you?
No, most of the day I had been there going to town. The rest of the day I was either cleaning or washing clothes, just typical Saturday. Because I'd been in trial all week, so I had a lot of catching up to do, like gas or
So nobody came out Saturday evening and tried to talk to you?
The cops, yeah.
Before
they had my house surrounded, totally surrounded.
Before they got there?
They came at about 7:20.
before they got there, though?
No, my son and his friends were there.
So there's other people at your house Saturday?
Yeah, my son.
Who all was there?
My son and his two friends were the ones that told me there were 3
Your
cop
son,
cars.
Charles Austin?
Mm-hmm.
And his friends, what's their names?
I don't remember which 2 guys were with him. He could tell you.
He had 2 friends with him?
Mm-hmm. And they saw the cops leaving.
Okay. But before that, nobody came to your house all day long?
I don't think anybody did that day. I'd have to stop and think.
Okay,
I don't think anybody came to that house.
A census worker lady didn't walk down your driveway wanting to talk to you?
Who?
A census worker, a lady?
No, we never had census after my property. I've been
And you still live at 419 Indian Trail?
I already sent in my census stuff over a month ago, so.
Indian Trail, you take it off the river road, Indian Trail all the way down, and your house is pretty much the last one down there at the end of Indian Trail?
Well, some people don't get to the end of Indian Trail, but yeah, if you keep going, you will eventually get to my house.
Go through the low water crossing across the railroad
you
tracks?
have to really trespass to get to my house. You have to trespass about 1.7 miles. That's why I put in my complaint. You would have to, Del Ryan and those Roco people had to use their position and get in my gate, and they would have to travel 1.7 miles on my private road to get to my house. That's how much they trespassed. With all kinds of signs that they posted, no trespassing, keep out.
So you're saying nobody came to visit you other than law enforcement on Saturday?
Right. It was there to harass.
So there's no female that came out there wanting to verify
I
your
didn't
address?
see any females at all. These are all guys I saw looking in my window.
Okay. Do you own any weapons?
I'm sure I do somewhere.
Yes or no? Not as sure.
I'm sure I do. At one time I did, but where they are, I don't know.
You don't own any right now?
I'm sure I do, but where they are, I do not.
What kind of weapons do you you own?
I have no idea.
You own a car?
Yes, several.
Do you know what kind of car you own?
If I had to think about it, I've got a lot of cars, so if I had enough time to think about them all, I could probably.
What about the one you drive the most?
My Jeep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know you have a Jeep and you know what kind it is. You know you have a gun, but you don't know what kind.
I don't. I drive my Jeep every day.
Okay. Don't shoot your gun every day?
Okay, I'm not going to do this game. I'm not going to play a game with you.
I'm asking
I
you a
want to know
question.
what the allegations are.
I'm telling you.
Is someone in the hospital? Are they dead? You need to tell me exactly what I'm being accused of.
You're accused of pointing a pistol at somebody and firing it 5 times.
Firing a pistol.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wouldn't still be alive if I had done that. They had their guns pointed at me. I had to go upstairs to get away from that.
I'm not talking about at the police.
Then who did I fire at 5 times?
Census worker.
There was no census worker on my property. Why would I fire the census worker? That doesn't make sense.
Well, we're trying to find out.
Okay, well, this is even more ridiculous than I thought then.
Okay, who's at your house right now?
Probably will.
No, we're all sitting right here. I'm talking about your family.
Delroy, I don't put anything past that guy.
Okay. Delroy has nothing to do with this.
Well, you can say that all you want. I know Delroy.
Who's at your house right now, Miss Barnes?
I'd have to be clairvoyant. I'm sure your people are.
No, ma'am, we're here. I'm asking you who's at your house. If I knew who was at your house, I wouldn't ask you.
How would I know?
Is your son at home?
How would I know? I'm not there.
Did you just leave home?
No.
Okay. You don't know if your son's at home? Do you live with anybody besides Charles?
This is going nowhere. If you got some census lady that says I fired a gun at her, is she in the hospital? Is she dead? What is the situation? 50 grand on a bond. Is she in the hospital or is she dead?
You going to answer my questions?
As soon as you tell me how serious this is.
It's serious.
So is she dead?
No.
Is she in the hospital?
No.
Then I didn't fire at her. There's no way. If I fired at someone, they wouldn't be alive. Give me a break. This doesn't even make sense. Think about what you're saying.
I answered your question. You're going to answer mine?
I'm not going to play games with you.
I'm not playing games. I'm asking you a question. Is anybody at your house?
I do not know.
You have any other questions?
No, this is ridiculous. You're saying I fired 5 times at a female census worker.
Yes, ma'am.
And she's dead?
No, she's not. I didn't say she was dead. I said she's not dead. She's not in the hospital. You said she would have been dead if you would have fired her.
Yes, it doesn't make sense. You're saying I had a firearm. I fired at her 5 times and she lived?
Yes, ma'am.
That's an amazing census worker.
You're saying
Did
if
she
you
have
would
a
have fired at
bulletproof
her.
vest on?
So you're saying if you would have fired at her, you would have hit her and she'd been dead.
If you have a firearm and you fire 5 times at someone, wouldn't you think they'd be dead?
Not if I missed.
Oh my God. How you gonna miss? Did she have a vest on or something?
Not to my knowledge.
Did she have some type of identifying emblem or something that she was a census worker?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
And she came up to my house and I shot her 5 times.
I didn't say you shot her 5 times.
You just said I shot her 5 times.
Shot at her.
Oh. Okay, fine. I've never shot at anyone in my life. I'm 54 years old. You find someone I've shot at. And believe me, there have been plenty of people in my life that I would love to shoot at. Why in the world would I shoot at some census worker?
That's what we're trying to find out.
A female, no less.
Maybe you thought she was Del Rye.
Oh, my God.
Sounds like you don't like him.
Oh, my God. This is ridiculous.
I agree.
Cannot believe a census worker, a female, came to my door and I shot her 5 times, or shot at her 5 times. And then what happened? Did I chase her? Did we get in a fight? Did I hit her?
You were there.
I'm charged with assault. No, you charged me with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Yes, ma'am.
There's all kinds of things going through my mind. And now you tell me I struggle with some census worker? How old is this woman?
She's a woman.
A young girl? A young kid? I mean,
doesn't matter how old she is.
Well, your story isn't believable. I don't even believe this story. So bring her in here and let me see if I even recognize her.
No, ma'am.
Who does she work for normally?
The census?
Who does she work for normally?
The census.
I smell Del Rye behind this. It doesn't even make sense that a census worker would copy and I was sending the paperwork over a month ago.
Let's go to the
story is falling apart.